Adesua, Bimpe and Choma were three close friends. They had just graduated from the University of Port Harcourt. The girls had big dreams and they were very ambitious. Like many young women of their age, they saw the National Youth Service (NYSC) as an opportunity to not only serve their father's land, but to link up with rich and powerful men. The girls were ready to serve in Lagos, the big city, where rich people lived in. They thought they would meet wealthy men who would give them the good life they wanted. The girls were smart, beautiful, and ready to use their looks to get what they wanted. Adesua was the most reserved of the three. She grew up with a single mother, Madam Jennifer, who taught her to work hard and to be honest. But Adesua was tired of seeing her mother struggle to make ends meet. She wanted more from life. Bimpe and Choma were bolder and they didn't mind using their beauty to get whatever they wanted. They often teased Adesua for being too careful with life. But as the days went by and the reality of after graduation began to set in, Adesua's thoughts began to change. The girls were happy when they received their NYC posting letters to Lagos. They found a small apartment to live in near the places where they could meet rich men. They quickly started going out to exclusive clubs and fancy restaurants, hoping to meet wealthy men. Adesua didn't like the fast life at first. She felt out of place at the night parties they attended. The men made her uncomfortable with their looks and comments. But Bimpe and Choma told her that if she wanted to get rich, she had to play along. One night, at a big club in Victoria Island, Adesua caught the attention of a much older man. The man introduced himself as Chief Duro. He was a rich politician who had a reputation for spending lavishly on women. Chief Duro was kind and charming, and Adesua liked him even though he was much older. Over the next few weeks, Chief Duro pursued Adesua with gifts and attention. He took her to nice places, made her feel special, and she slowly fell for him. Even though she had promised herself never to fall in love with any man while at her game. But as the months went by, Adesua found herself falling for Chief Duro in a way she hadn't expected. He was just too kind to her. He treated her with respect and he seemed genuinely interested in her well-being. For the first time in her life, Adesua felt like she was living her best life. Bimpe and Choma were happy for Adesua. They encouraged her to take full advantage of the situation and suck Chief Duro dry. The girls envied her luck in finding such a generous and influential man. They too were enjoying the benefits of their connections, but none had found someone as financially supportive as Chief Duro. Life in Lagos was going well for the three girls, but fate had a cruel twist in store for Adesua. Few months into her relationship with Chief Duro, Adesua found out she was pregnant. Panic set in immediately. She was too young and wasn't ready for a child, and the last thing she wanted was to complicate her new life and her relationship with a pregnancy. She was confused and wasn't sure of what to do next. She was also confused and wasn't sure whether to tell Chief Duro, but eventually she decided to tell him. When she broke the news to him, he reacted in a way that she didn't expect. Rather than being angry or demanding that she terminate the pregnancy, Chief Duro was very happy. He confessed that despite being married to his wife for many years, he and his wife had never been able to have a child, not even a miscarriage. He confessed that the pregnancy was a miracle and he begged Adesua to keep the baby. He promised to support her through it all, to give her everything and anything she wanted. and to make sure the child lacked nothing. But Adesua was torn between her lover and her mother. She knew her mother would never approve of her having a child outside of marriage, especially not with a man old enough to be her father. She expressed her fears to Chief Duro, who then made a shocking proposal. Chief Duro offered to divorce his wife and marry her. Chief Duro was true to his word. He began to process the divorce paper between him and his wife. He was ready to marry Adesua at all costs. He wanted to start a new life with her and their unborn child. He didn't care about the feeling of his wife. Adesua staggered in between the fast changes in her life, but she tried to stay focused on the brighter future. The day finally came when Chief Duro insisted on meeting Adesua's mother. He wanted to make everything official, to ask for her mother's blessing, and to assure her that he would take good care of her daughter and the child. Adesua reluctantly agreed, though she dreaded her mother's reaction to the whole situation. When they arrived at Madam Jennifer's mother's home, the atmosphere was tense. Adesua's mother was polite but distant. Her disapproval of the situation was evident. But as the conversation progressed and Chief Duro began to speak about his intention, Madam Jennifer's looks changed. She suddenly asked him a question that caught him off guard. "Chief Duro, where are you from? Where did you grow up from?" Chief Duro answered casually, not understanding the significance of the question. But as he spoke, a look of recognition dawned on Madam Jennifer's face. She excused herself from the room, her hands trembling, and she went to her bedroom. Adesua followed her. She was concerned about her mother's sudden change in behavior. Inside the bedroom, Madam Jennifer began to cry uncontrollably. Adesua was shocked. She begged her mother to tell her what was wrong. Through her tears, Madam Jennifer revealed a secret she had kept for over 25 years. "Adesua, Chief Duro is your father," she whispered, her voice trembling. "He's the man who left me pregnant with you and disappeared in search for wealth. I never thought I would see him again. I never imagined." The room spun around Adesua as her mother's words sank in. The man she had been with and the father of her unborn child was her biological father. The shock was too much for her to bear. The world seemed to close in on Adesua as she tried to process the horrific truth. She had fallen in love with her father, carried his child, and was about to marry him. The very thought was heartbreaking, and she felt as though her entire life had been ripped apart in an instant. She ran from the house, her mother's cries echoing in her ear. Chief Duro followed, confused and worried, but Adesua couldn't face him. She couldn't look at him knowing what she knew now. She fled to the apartment she shared with Bimpe and Choma, locking herself in her room and refusing to speak to anyone. For days, she remained in her room, not eating, not sleeping, and she was consumed with regret. Her friends tried to comfort her, but she pushed them away. Adesua was too overwhelmed by the gravity of her situation to let anyone in. Chief Duro was worried. He contacted Madam Jennifer, demanding to know what had happened. He wanted to know why Adesua had suddenly shut him out. But Madam Jennifer refused to speak to him. Her shame and horror were too great. She couldn't bring herself to reveal the truth to him. She couldn't bear the thought of what he might do once he knew. As the days turned into weeks, Adesua's health began to suffer. She was haunted by the knowledge of what she had done and the life growing inside of her. The shame and guilt were unbearable, and she couldn't see a way out. The future she had once dreamed of was now a nightmare from which she could not wake up from. In the darkest moment of her despair, Adesua made a decision that would change everything for the rest of her life. She knew she couldn't live with the shame. She couldn't bring herself to face the world knowing what she had done. The only escape she could see was to end it all. On one unfortunate night, while Bimpe and Choma were out partying, Adesua wrote a letter to her mother, apologizing for the pain she had caused her. She thanked her for everything she had done, for the love and the support she had always given her. She asked her mother to forgive her, but she knew what she was about to do was the only way she could find peace. She also wrote a letter to Chief Duro, revealing the truth about their relationship. She begged him to try and find forgiveness, both for himself and for her. Even though she knew it might be very difficult, she couldn't bear the thought of him raising a child that was the product of such a tragic and twisted fate. After writing the letter, Adesua prepared herself for what she believed was the only way out. She took a bottle of the pills she had bought earlier in the day and swallowed them one by one. Tears streaming down her face, she lay down on the bed, clutching the letter to her chest. She waited for the darkness to take her. Bimpe and Choma returned home late that night, laughing and talking about their latest escapades. When they found Adesua's room door locked, they called out to her, but there was no response. They were concerned, so they forced the door open and found her lying on the bed. She was pale and unresponsive, with the empty pills bottle beside her. Panic set in as they tried to wake her up, but it was too late. Adesua was gone. The news of Adesua's death spread quickly, shattering the lives of those who knew her. Bimpe and Choma were devastated, unable to comprehend how their friends could have sunk so low without them realizing the extent of what had happened. They found the letters she had written, and as they read them, the horrifying truth of what had happened began to sink in. Madam Jennifer was heartbroken when she learned of her daughter's death. She blamed herself for not revealing the truth earlier and for not protecting Adesua from the tragic fate that had befallen her. The loss of her only child left her in pain. She withdrew from the world, unable to face the reality of what had happened. Chief Duro's world on the other side began to crumble. When he received Adesua's letter, he read it with a growing sense of dread, the truth uncovering before him like a terrible nightmare. The woman he had loved, the child he had longed for, were both from his reckless and indecent life he lived. A sin he had committed years ago was now plain before his own eyes. He couldn't believe it at first, but as he put together the pieces of his past, he realized that it was all true. The young woman he had fallen in love with was his daughter, and the child she carried was his. The weight of this realization crushed Chief Duro, and he immediately went into depression. The once powerful and influential Chief Duro was now in the mud. He withdrew from public life, unable to face the shame that would come if the truth ever gets out. He spent his days in isolation, haunted by the memory of Adesua and the life they had almost shared. Adesua's mother was consumed with grief. She blamed herself for keeping the secret of Adesua's father from her daughter, believing that if she had told her sooner, this tragedy could have been avoided. She couldn't forgive herself for the role she had played in her daughter's death. Every day, she visited Adesua's grave, talking to her as if she were still alive, begging for her forgiveness. Due to the level of pain and heartache, her health failed her, and within a year, She too passed away. She was unable to bear the pain of living without her daughter. Bimpe and Choma were never the same again after Adeswa's death. The tragedy forced them to re-examine their lives and the choices they had made. The expensive lifestyle they had once pursued seemed meaningless in the face of the loss of their dear friend. Bimpe, who had always been the boldest and the most outspoken of the group, decided to leave Lagos and return to her village. She sought solace in her faith, hoping to find redemption for the life she had once lived. She spent the rest of her days trying to do good, helping others and honoring the memory of her lost friend Adeswa. Choma too left Lagos, but she chose to dedicate her life to counseling young women, hoping to prevent them from making the same mistake they had made. As for Chief Duro, who had abandoned Adeswa's mother to chase after money, he was haunted by the ghost of his late daughter. His once powerful political career was over, and the wealth he had accumulated over the years brought him no comfort. The memory of Adeswa, the love they had once shared, and the child that would never be born were his constant companion. Chief Duro got mad and roamed around all the days of his life. Dear friends, I hope you enjoyed this story. You see, there are a lot of lessons to be learned from this story, especially for those who are about to enter the university, those already in the university, and those who are done with youth service and thinking of what they could do with their lives, and even those life has been unfair with. Please do not sell yourself for material things. Working hard and smart can give you the life you deserve. Remember, there is dignity in labor. Please give this story a like, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can as well share the story with friends and family. Till next time, bye!